Hello, beautiful people. Let's talk about protocols for high dosing. This is going to be a good protocol for using the tea in a macro, but mostly pushing your tea doses as high as you can, and then also high doses of soma. But also, interestingly, it's a decent protocol to also use after high dose psilocybin. I think it helps. First, let's talk about the do's and do nots on the day that you're going to use Amanita in a macro or higher dose of the tea or a high dose of the full muscimol conversion like soma, raw milk soma, vegan soma, the 3-hour boil. I have those recipes over on amanitadreamer.net. Let me first say there is no protocol diet dieta for this mushroom. Let me get rid of one myth, and that is that you can't drink carbonated beverages because that'll turn muscimol back into ibotenic acid. Like that, no, doesn't work like that. Ibotenic acid, as you push that dose higher and higher of the tea, I have a video on how to find your dose on amanitadreamer.net. Can't put it here. It's the day after that's going to be really important, and this is my protocol. This is what I do the next day after high dose psilocybin, high dose tea on Amanita, or high dose full muscimol. Not long after my coffee then, I make myself a tea. I use green tea, ashwagandha, reishi, ginseng, and lemon. Those things work synergistically to, one, help move toxins, help bring your mind back, lessen kind of the stupid that's left over from muscimol, although you're going to have muscimol in your body all day long. But this sort of helps stir you up and get you back sort of on the road thinking and tasking, although you are still going to have to accept the fact that you are still under the influence, depending on, how high of a dose you took. But this is for higher doses. Around like middle day, 3-ish in that afternoon, evening period, then I may start to do things because you know how you can start to get antsy. I have a video about Amanita and anger. You know how when psilocybin starts to leave your body, there's just that coming down that starts around 3 or 4. And, like that whole afternoon period can be difficult to move through. And what I like to do then is make another medicinal tea that's very calming, that's got chamomile and maybe a little bit of magnesium powder, like magnesium citrate that I use. I take reishi again because it's very calming and it tends to sort of ease me down. If I am coming down off of high dose psilocybin, I will use Amanita to help ease that anxiety and that edginess a little bit. Let's talk about that first. So for that, I'll use the tea because depending on how I feel, if I'm not very agitated, then I'll use the tea because it sort of helps me get over that evening slump. It helps me move, work, cook, feel a little more normal. And then that as it moves more into muscimol, I get very calm. But because it's the tea, you're already getting a little bit of muscimol on board. So it's really, really good at helping with that. If I did a really high full muscimol, then yes, I'm probably going to have some rebound anxiety in the evening. And I might actually use a little bit more, just a tiny bit, like microdose, that full muscimol to take the edge off of coming down, in addition to a calming tea. And then at bedtime, and then I'd use different supplements at that point, definitely some reishi again. And at that point is where I'll use ground up Blue Lotus. You'd have to know about Blue Lotus. I have a video here with the Herbal Jedi where we talk about Blue Lotus. It's very synergistic and very calming. And that's the tea that I make. It's chamomile, reishi, higher doses of magnesium, and then Blue Lotus. And so it's sort of this working with the phases depending on what it was that you're coming down off of for the next day. But most definitely with Amanita, if you did a high dose, that whole next day while you're under the influence, especially while you're under the influence, you need to be very, very careful. about what you let your mind be exposed to. And well, actually anything entheogenic that you're still under the influence of the next day, be very careful, because your mind is still processing and very open and under the influence of suggestion. Likewise, though, that's a really great time to use suggestion. And so what I do as I'm preparing for anything high dose, I'll make a voice memo on my phone of things that I want to know or remember. So when I'm starting to come down from the trip the night before, and I've still got everything on board and I'm getting these amazing ideas and understandings, then what I will do is I'll make a memo telling myself everything that I remember that the mushroom is telling me to do, the lessons I'm learning, and I'll speak them into a voice memo. Then the next day around noon, when I'm still very much under the influence, still very in a fog and very floaty, I will listen to that and be like, oh yeah. I will have a playlist lined up for myself that sort of reinforces those positive and beautiful and loving and calming ideas. And I'll listen to that music. But also, if it's something I want to learn about, and you should not get on social media and you should not get online, because it can blindside you, comments and ads and things that can be very startling. But if you know how to use your algorithm and you know how to use your search and you can use that, it's a really good time to actually put understandings and reinforce understandings and ideas. If there are YouTube videos that reinforce something you're trying to learn, setting boundaries or whatever, and you learned a lot about setting boundaries, watch YouTube videos about setting boundaries from creators that you've been watching that you appreciate, even if you've seen it before. If you are thinking about quitting a job or changing careers, then queue up and make a playlist of videos that are about finding the courage to make change. People that did that have different careers, that love their career. You see what I'm saying? Get these things ready for you. Make playlists on Spotify or wherever you get your music, or a podcast, or on YouTube, so that when you are very sensitive, you can pack incredible knowledge and information the next day. Starting around 10, 11, 12, noon, 1, all that time frame, you're so highly suggestible that you can continue the rapid learning off the mushroom high trip thing back here on Earth in this world while you're still highly suggestible. The other thing is to treat yourself like you're in the hospital. Don't make plans for that day. Don't drive. Let people know you are not available. Treat yourself like you're sick, like you're recovering. But it's wholly beautiful and special. So make sure that you have things planned for yourself that are very calming, very beautiful, very honoring, and very loving. And if you love what I'm teaching you today and you like all of my teachings, buy me a coffee. You'll notice that very few of my videos here have ads because YouTube censorship. AmanitaDreamer.net is where you can find any questions you have about this mushroom. Mushroomvoice.com. You can book a session with me. You can join our community and talk to me in our Zooms and our parties and the things that we do. Or you can buy stuff from my store, which opens, once a month. But soon, hopefully, it will be able to stay open all the time. I wish you the best, most beautiful, loving journeys. I love you, beautiful people. Bye.